researched coral bleaching in the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. So the Great Barrier Reef is located on the Queensland coast in northeast Australia, and it covers an area of 133,000 square miles and also contains 10% of the world's coral reefs.
So these are a couple pictures of the Great Barrier Reef before any of the effects of coral bleaching. As you can see, there's lots of color and fish and different organisms swimming around. And the reason why they're this color is because the algae is making their home on the coral, and it makes them all colorful.
Now, if you look at these pictures, you'll notice that they're not colorful like the last ones were, and that's because this coral doesn't have the algae that gives it its color, and so this is coral bleaching.
Okay, so this is coral bleaching, and as you can see, as Natasha showed before, it's all white and dead, and that's from coral. They call it coral stress. So when a coral is stressed, it releases the algae, and it becomes this white color, and it dies off. It has no nutrients or anything like that, so it can no longer be homes for organisms because it's dead. And these are some statistics and pictures that researchers have found. And in this picture, they took data from 1985 to 2012, and as you can see, this is the northern part of the Australian coast, and over that time period, there's in some places there's less than 11.5% of the coral that was originally there is not there anymore because of coral bleaching. And over here, you can see that the northern part of the coast is a little bit more affected than the southern part of the coast because that's where there's more tourism and like the greater part of the Great Barrier Reef. So there's up to 81% is severely bleached. So as you can see, that there's a huge range of places that are affected.
So some of the causes of coral bleaching in the Great Barrier Reef is rising sea temperatures. That's mostly caused by pollution from humans, because when we use energy sources such as nuclear energy, where hot water is released back into the rivers and the ocean, that can really affect the marine habitats. Another reason is extreme weather events, just severe storms, hurricanes, tropical storms. They really just mess with the algae that's sitting on the coral. And then tourism and pollution, also really huge problems. The Great Barrier Reef is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, and the northern coast, especially of Australia, brings a lot of visitors who like to snorkel, and so it can be actually very dangerous to the coral.
Well, 90% of the Great Barrier Reef is affected by coral bleaching, and coral is originally used for small fish, and they use the smell of the injured fish and the presence of a predator to associate danger with new predators on the coral. But if the coral is dead, they can't release any of the chemicals, so these fish can't detect any danger, so it messes with the whole food chain and organisms start to die off, because coral is really the basis of the marine ecosystem. And also, many fish have started to migrate to different places of the ocean because of the coral bleaching that's occurring in the Great Barrier Reef, because they don't have their homes anymore and can't survive.
So this is a picture from 2015 in October, and it just shows the coral bleaching that's happening around the world, specifically the stress on the coral. So this is Australia down here, and you'll see that all around it is on an alert level 2. But obviously it's not only in Australia, it's actually also really close to our coasts. And so coral bleaching is definitely something that we have to prevent, because even this is worse than it was 2 or 3 years ago.
So some steps for conservation efforts have occurred, including the Great Barrier Reef Outlook Report that occurred in 2009, and they focus on improving the quality of the water that runs off into the land. It also looks into climate change and runoff and coastal development, and the impacts of fishing and illegal poaching, which also would affect the ecosystem and later into the coral. And also, the Australian government said that we need to reduce CO2 levels because that contributes to pollution that would contribute to coral bleaching. And lastly, the Australian Marine Conservation Society has worked with North Queensland Conservation Council, and they fight dredging and dumping into the ocean, which starts the Protect the Reef campaign.
So an important question is what can we do? The Great Barrier Reef, although it's not exactly near us, the things that we do still affect it. So one of the biggest steps we can take is reducing our CO2 emissions. So one of the things talked about in the Paris Climate Conference this past year was reducing those harmful greenhouse gases to reduce climate change. By doing this, we would reduce the rising sea temperatures, which ultimately cause coral bleaching. Also, as Kayla said, being an active member of the Protect the Reef campaign, so that would just be taking steps towards reducing pollution in the water and in other marine ecosystems. And these are some of our sources.
All right, I hope you learned a lot about coral bleaching and will help save the Great Barrier Reef.